Good.
Boom. How's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We're live with Klaus and Sean. I think Dave's going to be here in a few minutes with Eric, and I think we might have some surprise guests from Italy.
Oh, really?
So we'll see when those guys get around to getting online. Those slackers.
As long as they're bringing pizza.
I hope so. Maybe bring something. So what's going on, guys? It's been a while since we streamed. Lots happened in the last few months.
Guess it has.
And want to give some updates as to what you guys have been working on and doing while we wait for the others to get here?
Sure. Klaus, what you got cooking?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Now I'm. What am I doing? I'm working on Sacred Creatures. That's kind of popping right now.
Good.
And I'm exploring Substack.
Are you?
Yeah. So I wanna, I made a couple of connections this past week. I want to see if we going on Substack. But it's still too early to say anything about specific things.
Right.
But I definitely want to go in that direction. I think I'm kind of. If Marvel and DC offered me a project, I'm not sure I would take it at this point.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
Why do you think so?
Because I don't think they're being very good to the talent in a lot of areas. I don't think the books they're putting out are very good. I think they're struggling to survive right now, and it's not a fun place to be. I don't see a lot of interesting stuff coming out. I think the more interesting stuff is coming out with all the creators doing creator-owned stuff right now.
Yeah, there's so much excitement, I think, in terms of, creator-owned and self-publishing or, more independent publishing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't, do a project for Marvel or DC, but it seems to have really dried up in terms of, interesting or potential projects that I might be good for. So, it's time to, there's a phrase that I really like, which is a little cheesy, but it's a revenue stream. You got to develop new revenue streams.
That's you and I have talked about this in length.
Yes, that's right.
I'm all about the revenue stream.
And I'm thinking, I really would like to do, actually what you're doing, Sean, which is a tutorial or a workshop online.
Well, why don't I come up there and we'll film you and we'll put it out on the platform I have?
Well, that certainly is I'm open to that, but I'm thinking of doing a weekly thing during the summer.
Oh, nice.
On Substack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But one doesn't preclude the other, by the way.
What is Substack? I hear it a lot. I don't know what it is really.
It's a platform, and it's I don't pretend to know as much as other people, but it's a platform by which you can publish original work, or a platform. I think. Scott Snyder is using Substack. I might be wrong about this, but Scott is teaching his class. I'm sorry?
Scott's got a lot of stuff coming out on Substack.
Is it on Substack or is it on Comixology?
I thought it was Substack, but I don't know. Honestly, Klaus, I don't pay much attention to what this industry is doing anymore.
Well, I can understand that, but I think that... my impression is that Substack is going to revolutionize everything. And again, I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. You might be right. I don't know. I'm just really right now interested in doing everything myself.
Hey, Sean, can you move your the piece a little more centered? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me adjust my camera. because I'm working comfortably.
What is this that you're working on?
It's a cover for a Rick and Morty comic. It's a New York Comic Con exclusive for this Rick and Morty comic at Oni Press. That's better, right?
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, this is here. I'm hoping to get these inks done soon and maybe start coloring while we're on stream.
Do you watch Rick and Morty, Sean?
I've seen a few episodes. I think it's really funny and smart. I don't watch much TV. I just don't have time. And when I do, I've got a list of things I want to watch. And
I try to squeeze everything in between like 10 and 11:30 at night. And you're right. There's so much to watch. It's impossible.
Yeah, totally.
But Rick and Morty it strikes me as being brilliant.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be, and that's what I hear a lot about it.
Right. But I have no idea what it's about.
I don't know.
There's multiverses and metaverses.
Yeah.
And, you really, I'm kind of lost, but it's so amazing.
Yeah, and it's really witty.
What are you watching, Sean? Anything?
Well, when I was sick, I caught up on some things I hadn't seen. Like, I never saw The Mandalorian, so I watched that.
Sure.
Everyone was raving about it, and I wanted something that would be easy to digest.
Yeah.
So I watched that. I had started a while ago the Hulu series about the Wu-Tang Clan, so I finished that.
Oh, it's like a documentary?
It's not a documentary. They have a documentary on Showtime, but this is like a it's like I forget the word for it, but it's actors telling the story of their origin.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I'm a fan, so I enjoyed seeing stuff. It's done decent. It's not like terribly cheesy like those things normally are. I enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing, but it was fun.
What else were you watching when you were down?
One of the things about COVID is you're kind of foggy. So I don't. Yeah. Someone asked me this yesterday. I don't remember other than those two things. I don't remember. Yeah, I can't. I guess it wasn't anything terribly exciting. I feel like there's a movie or two I must have watched. I just can't remember.
Sure. Yeah. No, you're not under any obligation to remember when you're sick, Sean.
Right. But I wish I did.
Hey, look who's here.
Hey, Mr. Dave. Look at that.
Hey, what's going on?
My hero.
Good morning.
Your hero, please. I wish.
You are my hero. Are you kidding me?
I was going to show this. It was from the last the Connecticut convention. They wanted me to draw.
Oh, that's right.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, Buzz laid it out. Buzz did the figure work, and I just kind of refined it a little bit. But
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
turned out okay.
Cool. Looks dope.
I tried to talk him into getting Mike Zeck to do it, but turns out Mike Zeck retired. So
he did.
They begged me to do it, and I was like, "All right, I guess if Mike Zeck is no longer drawing, I guess, man, it sucks, but good for him."
Dave, do you know when he retired?
I guess it was this year.
I didn't know he had the kind of money he could just retire like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're all comic book artists. Who retires from comic book art?
Yeah, I know. That's and then actually, how do you retire? I mean, do you send out like a notice or,
Well, I mean, his agent, Renee, was, I guess she just, when people ask, she just says, nope, he's no longer doing it. So,
wow.
Is he still doing conventions?
No, I don't think so.
Just totally just going to be chilling.
I think he, I like to imagine he's living in some kind of Bali, like beach hut, living large, drinking Mai Tais with some awesome chick or something, or his wife maybe. I don't know what his, I don't know what his social life is, but anyway.
Huh.
Hey, Jay, do you have a list?
No, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was just asking Jay if he had a list for
For your commissions?
Yeah, for what I'm supposed to do on this.
All right. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm just scanning some Klaus art we got. We'll offer to some of the people who are in the room here. Give me a moment to get that.
Oh, Jay, can we? Do you mind putting up a link at some point? The guys in the Stack Machine band that I'm working with, they put out a poster today, a limited run of 100.
What's a Stack Machine?
What's that?
What's a Stack Machine?
Stack Machine, it's a group that I'm in with Booty Brown on the Far Side, Della Funky Homo Sapien, Mike Realm, me, and Juan Doe, and it's hip hop and art.
Okay.
Our first song, the first track is out on Spotify.
The names are killing me.
I guess you don't. Their names you're not familiar with.
Well, I'm now officially old.
Well, I am too.
Okay, Dave.
All right, I'm ready.
You have your choice of. Oh, that's the toaster guy. I don't know if you want to do that one. But here's a good one. It's the pro holding a drink, drinking one of the Pop Kill Soda Company cans.
Pro holding, and that is that a half
It's a
body?
Yeah.
Okay. Holding soda. Okay.
Okay.
What else
Then you've got the other one that you might like would just be artist choice.
Ooh.
Please tell Mr. Johnson to do whichever he feels like doing. I know he'd kill it on either, let's see, 60s Black Widow in lingerie.
Oh, okay. All right.
Having just undressed from a hard day's work of assassinations, lounging with a martini. Or Death of the Endless in a wedding dress looking like she's about to walk down the aisle.
Okay. And what are those? Or what is that?
That's a full figure.
Okay. What else?
Or we can take a request from whoever's in the group here that wants to.
Wait, wasn't there a Big Barda thing? I thought there was a Big Barda.
Was there a Big Barda? Hold on, scrolling.
I just saw that Yellow Asian cover, Dave.
Oh, thanks. Oh, well, I said thanks for seeing it. I didn't let you say anything about it. You might have said, well, it's a piece of crap.
No, beautiful. The one where was all color and the guy was emerging from the color. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. He I forgot the direction I got, but it was basically, I guess the character is kind of fighting with him being himself an Asian during this time, and it's kind of like he's being swallowed up. I mean, this is the writer's idea that he's being swallowed up by the yellow, So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll go with that. So.
There's a full figure Big Barda as well, Dave.
Big Barda. All right. We're going to start off with the toaster. How big's the toaster? I assume it's a headshot or something.
Toaster is bust size. Yeah, 175.
All right. Cool. All right. Done and done.
Unless you want to take some requests, but maybe after you finish this one.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a while before I finish these. I mean, I wish I was that super fast.
All right. And meanwhile, I've got some scans coming of some new art.
Toaster.
I sent you some references.
Oh, didn't he want it on a small card?
4x6.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
So it's little Barda.
No, the toaster.
Oh, the toaster. Okay,
Toaster.
sorry.
What's the toaster?
He's a guy who collects toaster art.
Oh, like an actual toaster oven?
Yeah. Or a bread toaster.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's some questions coming in. Who were your inspirations, and when it comes to art and comics?
Who are you asking?
I guess it's for the room. Whoever wants to go first. So, Dave, why don't you go first?
Sean Crystal and
That's what I would say. Yeah.
No, I gotta admit, I was a super tight wannabe artist. Like I was just obsessed with being all the lines super tight. I was a big fan of Mike Golden and stuff. And then when I joined Gaijin Studios, we were all kind of super tight, with the style for the most part. But then later, I just, I kind of realized I was losing something. I was being inked by guys who also could ink really tight, but I felt like it was kind of losing some energy. Every line didn't have to be super clean, And I remember looking at Kevin Nolan's work, and I remember the outside lines, the containment lines were all super tight, but then he would do this kind of scratchy crosshatch inside, and it started dawning. And then I started getting into Jorge Savino and European artists, and I realized it's more about the energy of the line than just how clean every line is. And then my stuff started to change. How about you guys?
Well, for me, early on, the book that got me wanting to do this was Dark Knight Returns. So Klaus had a big impact on me.
Nice.
And you did too, Dave. Super Patriot really got to me, but then seeing what you're doing with the covers, you two have been a very big influence on me. But Kevin Nolan too, in a big way.
Really, I don't see Kevin Nolan in your.
It's not so much the mark making, but Kevin Nolan. It's how he spots blacks. But like I was looking at Mignola for a long time, and I was very, very graphic like Mignola. But it was like when I discovered Kevin Nolan, I saw like, oh, you can still have this like nice black and white graphic design. But he introduced these grays, these hatch marks, and it gave the work a richness which I felt mine was missing because it was so graphic. So it's more, I think, in theory than mimicking the application of what he did.
Yeah.
Now you were saying Mignola or Mignola.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't the G like silent? I think.
I don't know. You know him. I don't know him. I don't. Maybe.
Oh, it's Mignola. Like,
yeah, it is. It is silent.
It's
Yeah.
Mignola.
Mignola.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mignola.
Okay.
Just trying to, next time you meet him.
Yeah.
It's like people who used to say, Sinkowitz or
Right.
Galowikius, Coach K.
who?
Yeah, there used to be a commercial, a Bud Light commercial with a basketball coach who was whatever. It's a sports thing.
Well, to finish the story, man.
Well, no, it was like a coach. They couldn't pronounce his name, so they just wrecked it. But he's a famous basketball coach. It's not very interesting. All right. Hey, Dave.
It could have been interesting. You gave up on it. You killed it.
I got distracted. Trying to scan a few pages here.
Don't do that. You need to pay attention to us, Jason.
I'm doing a little bit of both. I'm getting distracted. I'm trying to get up some pages that you guys sent to offer to the group that's here. That's Travis Charest, as far as I know, right? Not Charest.
Yeah, I think it's Charest. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Charest.
There was a great Dodge Barracuda radio ad that used to play back in the 60s. And the announcer, he couldn't say Barracuda. He kept saying Baccaruda. And this hippie character was like, no, man, it's Barracuda. And he kept saying Baccaruda. And he goes, no, just say what I just say. And he'd go, repeat after me. And he'd go, ba. And the guy would go, ba. And he'd go, rah, coo, da. He goes, now put it all together, man. He goes, Baba Rabba Kugu Dada. It was a funny commercial.
Okay. Which we offer first? I got an Eric. I think this is an Eric Larson, Klaus Janson, Thor page.
Ooh, that's fun.
Dave Johnson. I guess this is one of the Pop Kill variants with the 3 topless girls in the cup. Or
I wouldn't put that on. You might get kicked off.
Well, I used to have to cover up the nipples, which we can do. The other one, I got a Amazing Spider-Man 680. I guess that's a Komokali, right? And Klaus Janson Spider-Man. I just don't know what page this is. And Eric will be here in a moment.
Okay.
So
great. So he can show us all up.
He's feeding his Bambino.
Here, Jay, I'll send you the link for that thing. Hold on.
And let's see if we can get our other Italians in here.
Hey, did you end up going to MegaCon? I can't remember.
Not me. I stayed home.
You didn't go, Jay?
No. Andrew went by his lonesome.
I thought you had to go to make a transaction.
No, we took care of that offline.
Oh, good. Good.
So we stayed home. It turns out some of the guys we met at Terrificon got COVID Delta, and they were sick. That we actually, came in touch with.
Who? Because that's why you gave it to me.
Not me. Well,
who do you know that got it?
One of the facilitators called. He said, luckily he just lost his sense of taste for a few days, and that was it. And then tested negative and was able to get out again.
Jace, do you know who it was? I mean, was it somebody that worked at the con, or?
No, it's just a facilitator that was there to get some books signed.
Oh, I see.
But he was heading to MegaCon last weekend, so I can't imagine there's not people who got sick.
We haven't heard anything in terms of Connecticut being a super spreader or anything like that, have we?
No, I haven't seen anything.
I think it's just going to be everywhere pretty soon.
Yeah, I think we might as well just, you're right.
So I posted the Stack Machine website link in the chat.
Thank you. Here, I'll send the Spotify link if everyone wants to listen to it.
So go take a look. It's Sean's new project with the Far Side. So it's pretty cool.
Here's the track, Jay. I just sent you a link on Spotify if anyone wants to listen to the first song.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, so that poster, it's just a limited run of 100 that we're doing. It's the first of many merch things we'll be putting out.
Okay. So here's a piece that we just put up, which is, let me get this off. This is Amazing Spider-Man 620, page 14. If anyone's interested.
Who did that?
Wait, who's the artist?
Who's this? This is Klaus's inks over Giuseppe Comacoli.
Giuseppe.
When did you do that, Klaus?
A couple of years ago, we did a run
Nice.
on Spider-Man. Not that long, but I really liked inking his stuff. I'd ink him again in a minute. He's really good.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get the art up by itself, but you guys can see.
One of these days, I got to get you to ink Klaus.
Okay, well, I'm up for that. It would
I
be
mean, my pencil skills, my penciling skills have atrophied by quite a lot, but maybe a layout and then you finish it up or something. I don't know. You know,
whatever you're up for, Dave. I would consider it a privilege, really. And if I thought I could learn, how to design as well as you do, geez.
I just looked at a shit ton of books.
What, to get ideas, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I'm a terrible mimic, there are a lot of guys that, are able to mimic styles or ideas or unfortunately when I see stuff, it goes through this brain mesh filter. And by the time it comes out, it's completely different. And that's kept me from, I guess, falling into, oh, yeah, Dave's just ripping this guy off or ripping that guy off. I'm trying to.
I was thinking that's really a good thing, right?
Well, in the long run, yeah, but it can be kind of frustrating when I'm trying to, actually do something to mimic something, like, on purpose. And it just comes out different, Like I was doing these fake comic book ads for the Conjuring comic book that DC was doing or is doing, and trying to mimic some of that stuff, and by the time it comes through my filter, it looks more like me than the stuff I'm trying to mimic. But like you said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's kept me from being caught, I guess, when I am trying to rip something off.
Dave, if they haven't caught on by now, they're not going to catch you. They're not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're not going to get caught. I think we all have that fear, don't you think? We all feel like, oh shit, I'm going to be found out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is funny.
Okay. Oh. Any other questions? Just keep popping them in here. I'm going to add some art. Dave, which cover is this one?
Oh, God. What issue?
Yeah, do you know?
I have no idea, actually. I'd have to get up and look.
Don't worry about it. I'll track it down.
I mean, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of figuring it out.
I think that was Horny Lads, number 4, wasn't it?
Horny Lads. Okay, let me take a look what we got.
I mean, I wish it was the Adam Hughes nude variant, but you know.
Well, listen, Adam's is pretty good himself. Okay, that's number 1. It's number 1. All right.
I mean, I know the guy that was helping me out in Connecticut wanted it, so I want to give him a call.
Yeah, let me.
He was asking about it.
Let me throw him a line unless there's anyone in here that's asking. Sean, Scott's asking how your art lessons are going. But before that, let's just say hello to Eric.
Hey,
Sexy man.
Hello, kids.
We have sexy Eric.
Sexy lighting, Eric.
yeah, jeez,
As opposed
man,
to
I might have to take care of myself later looking at this.
How you been, Eric? Anything new in your world?
oh, you know, playing
Besides
catch up.
populating it,
Yeah, outside of populating it, new is a kid.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
10
She has
fingers,
been-
10 toes.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think.
You haven't
Hold on,
looked?
I haven't looked. I've been under duress the entire time.
Is it a boy or a girl? I can't remember.
Girl.
Girl, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully it looks like the mother.
Or, yeah, because we all have proof of what it looks like if it looks like the father.
Well, you already get
Hold
your
on.
kid. Your boy looks like you, so now it's her turn.
Yeah.
You can't dominate the DNA.
Well, my mongrel blood says otherwise, Dave. Hold on, I'm going to test this overhead cameras to see if it's working or not. Nope, of course not. Should have tested it before we streamed, Eric.
Yeah, Eric.
Really professional,
Kind
Eric.
of amateur show you
what a
running.
jerk.
Hey, what the? Why is that not working? Oh, you guys get to see my face.
That's okay. We're used
Hey, can
to
I
it.
share a screen, Jason, or is that just gonna take over the entire? Is that gonna take the entire
I don't know. Let's try it.
Okay, hold on. Because to be honest with you, I'd prefer to work on the project. So I know
Yeah.
everybody's doing sketches, but
Well,
No, I'm
If,
working on
uh,
a cover, Eric. I'm not
What-
working on a commission.
well, if any of the guys who are in the room don't know, Eric's working on his creator-owned project called Arc Athena that will be up on, I guess, Indiegogo and social crowdfunding in September.
mid-September.
So maybe we can get Eric to show some process here.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to go with Indiegogo?
The business model was better for me as opposed to Kickstarter, right? Like Kickstarter has it like you have to wait until, or first of all, you have to go fulfill, right, 100%, or else is like the balance turns to zero. And I don't know if they've changed that model since I looked into them. And then whereas Indiegogo, whatever it is you earn, but the danger there is if you don't hit your whatever it is, whatever goal that you have to cover, right? And then secondly, the percentage, their cut is what, 2 percentage points smaller,
Okay.
which is it's long-term wise is so much better. Especially if I'm not exactly sure, this being my first campaign, if I'll fulfill based on my costs.
Now, when you say fulfill, what do you? I mean,
Oh, excuse me,
I-
earn, like, get the actual money that I want to raise. Excuse me.
oh, so if people back out,
Yeah, let's say at Indiegogo, like the simplest example is my goal in Kickstarter is $100, and I manage to raise only 99. That goes to zero, right? That goes unfunded. Yeah. But let's say on
Okay.
Indiegogo, if my same goal is $100, and I only manage to make $50 in raising campaigns, I get that $50, but I have to cover the rest of the I have to cover the remaining balance, but I still have to go fulfill it.
Yeah, but I mean, you would. I have no doubt you would be able to fill or make your, what you want on Kickstarter.
I like your crystal ball, Dave,
Yeah,
but we're using it for the wrong thing. We should go to Vegas.
Well, I mean, if you set your goal for $1 million, you might fall short. But if you're realistic about it and you realize what you need to ship, print, and make it worth your while, and you're reasonable, you'll probably end up making, you've got a pretty big following, so I have no doubt that you would make it, no problem.
Do
So
we know
Jay,
what?
are you having to bounce back and forth between windows? Can you manage that? So
Yeah.
I can work on this stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just waiting for you to pull up whatever you wanted, so we can just bounce around a little bit until you're ready to show
Okay,
off
good.
some of that stuff.
Good.
But
I mean,
we do have.
by the way, Dave, thank you so much for the vote of confidence. I really appreciate it.
Well, I mean, if we made our nut, it was me and Jimmy, and we had an artist that nobody really knew, and
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's super encouraging. I think in Jimmy's case, and this is not an excuse, it's one more factor. Like I spoke with Jimmy offline, and one of the cool things about his campaigns is that he has an ongoing track record. Right, he's sort of like been doing it for a while. So I think there
Well,
is, if not necessarily a built-in audience per se, but he definitely has people who are paying attention to his project. So that kind of gets rolled into. In a way, rolled into the next crowdfunding campaign. It's not automatic, but at the very least, he has a baseline, right?
Yeah, but you have a very, very what seems like a decent following, But sometimes I know followings didn't necessarily translate.
Yeah,
to,
dude. I'm telling you,
people actually
like
buying stuff.
I was saying, if I can get to anywhere near 8 to 10% of who follow me on social media, I would consider it to be a phenomenal success. But without knowing, I would rather opt for the version that kind of has a certain amount quote unquote locked in.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm gonna let you do it.
You will. That's awesome. Hold on, let me send out the release letter for you.
I'm good this way.
Yeah. Must be Christmas early.
I have no idea what I'm doing with this, but that's
How was everybody's show? Where were you guys all together? Right, you were in
Terrificon.
Terrificon. How was it?
It was
It
fun.
was terrific.
It was terrific.
Well played, Dave.
None of us got sick, I think.
Good.
I got sick.
You think it was from Terrificon?
Yeah, it was like 4 days after I got home.
What
so
was
maybe
this?
we all-
What was the sick? Was it like a flu?
I got COVID again.
You got COVID again?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this. Wait, I thought you were joking.
No. I've been back in the studio this week, but the week before I was not.
It felt so good the first time, Sean. You were like, again.
Yeah, I was like, I want to do this again.
All right.
You had nothing better to do?
No, I figure, why not? Let's go for a ride.
Family turned out okay though. Anything on their end?
No, Steph got it too. She
I
said
was
she's in
right
bed
next
right
to
now.
it. I didn't get it.
I know.
Without
That's
going
good.
into it, Dave, one of you has a more robust health than the other guy.
Apparently.
Well, Klaus said he wasn't feeling so good when he got back either.
Yeah, I was feeling a little under the weather, but I got a COVID test and it was negative. They have the rapid tests now.
Those are so unreliable.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Well,
I tested negative with one and then got a normal test and it was positive.
Which one did you believe? Which
I
one did
hear
you?
what you're saying, Sean.
What?
The woman who did the test assured me that they had made some advances in the rapid test. But you might be right. It might still be very unreliable. You're right. But yeah. But it's funny because I started feeling crappy like 2 or 3 days after the convention. So, which is like within that window, right, Sean?
Yeah, that's about when it
Yeah.
hit me.
But based on that show, Jason said that you guys had gotten feedback that these streams would be well appreciated by your audience. Yes, and that's why we're doing it this weekend.
I believe so.
Well, that was my idea because I felt bad about canceling
Florida.
MegaCon.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
well, shit, maybe do something.
I just posted Eric's link for his newsletter for Arc Athena.
Oh yeah, please sign up if you could. It will alert you and give you behind the scenes. First of all, it gives behind the scenes stuff for all the stuff that I've been working on. It'll also give you a countdown to when the campaign launches on September 15th. And I think there's going to be information there about a secret perk that within the first 48, the early adapters first 48 hours get a premium thing that's not accessible anytime thereafter during the campaign.
Nice.
And how many pages is this going to be?
It's 49 story pages, and then 64 pages total with supplementary material. It's going to be hardcover, UV spot gloss, that whole bit. So it's going to feel really, really premium. We feel it's going to be a pretty decent bang for your buck for your $25. As a matter of fact, as soon as it's only going to be a 30-day campaign, and as soon as that's done, that's it. It goes up into regular price, which I think comes up to about $40. We haven't worked out the exact numbers yet. So from 25 to 40, it would behoove you if you're interested to adopt early.
Now, who's we?
There is the colorist Eric Weathers, the letterer Eric Weathers, the colorist Giuliano Peratelli, and the campaign manager, who's my friend Michael DiNicola. And then obviously the critical part of this whole thing is the fulfillment center, who's going to be Iconic Comics.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be in the fulfillment side of things.
Yeah, that's painful.
I mean, we were lucky to have this guy named Patrick Wedge that does all of Jimmy's campaigns.
Oh,
Jimmy
sure.
helps too. I mean, Jimmy, will pack and stuff, but I mean, they have an office in the back of a comic book store in Florida. But I can't even imagine if I were to do one by myself, like my little apartment.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, Arc Athena is like 6 issues long, right?
Yeah.
So these campaigns go back to back to back to back, about 2.5 to 3 months apart.
Yeah, there'll definitely be a drop off from, but I mean, you can say that about any publishing, as far as sales go.
Yeah.
But if you can keep it going until issue 6, that'll be great.
I think that if there is a primary goal that at least for me, that I've helped to underline with the team, is that this venture, in as far as who I am as a creator, and obviously if it's sustainable, do it long term and almost as exclusively as possible. One of the things I'm helping try to establish is that it's a dependable brand, which means I have to establish a level of trust with the customer base. So if it drops off in such a way where it becomes as close to black as possible, maybe we'll go in the red as far as finance is concerned. Fingers crossed it never gets there. But if the goal is like, oh yeah, that guy, whenever I see that logo on the covers, I know that shit is going to be good. That's a pretty big win for me.
Yeah. Well, just, I don't know how much you're going to have done by the time the campaign starts, but
yeah,
having a fast turnaround will definitely get you kudo points, with people coming back. I mean,
to that end,
that's basically Jimmy's. He pays for everything out of the gate, and then when the campaign funds it's just literally paying him back. He's ready to go
Right.
to print.
Right.
And I think that's
Yeah.
it's the harder way to go, but you don't end up with some of these campaigns that I've heard about that people are waiting years for just one
Yeah.
comic book.
No, that's a good
if
point.
they even
And
get it.
before I jumped into doing this, I did a little bit of background research for just one title. Not even I couldn't even find a decent analog to what I'm doing, which is like 6 issues, right? Oftentimes you see the 64 or whatever, the 64, the trade paperback or what have you, and this numbers is skewed because there's a lot of people who are like a year and a half to 2 years late on their campaign fulfillment, right? But
Sure.
the average turnaround time between end of campaign and into customers' hands is about 6 to 8 months, and that's enough time for any project to go down the memory hole, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
people forget. So one of the key things, again, in order to help build that consumer/customer trust, is that I wanted to have 5 issues in the can before we launch campaign number 1,
Nice. Yeah, that's
and
fun.
it's trending pretty decently there. I'm a little bit behind because so and so got born during my production time.
Yeah, what a jerk.
I know, couldn't wait, just couldn't stay in there for another 3 months. Anyway, things
Yeah,
slow
plan that
down
out
just
better.
a little. Say again, Jay.
You got to plan that out better next time.
I know, man. I literally need to look when my wife is like, I think I'm ovulating. I'm all like, not for another 3 months. You're not.
You got a book coming out.
So anyway, yeah. So that's one of the things that slowed me down. But I think I'm trending pretty decently to get close. Now that just means when I say done from my end in the production pipeline, that just means like the pencils and inks, or at least the black and white.
Yeah, but
But that gives us a pretty decent head start on a lot of different projects who often, go live with just maybe 6 to 8 pages worth of material, and
Yeah.
then wait for the funding, and then spend the next X amount of months, generating it. Which, some people can't do it exclusively, right? Some people aren't in a position to do just the book on its own, right, before launching. But I happen to be in that pretty decent position, so I'll take advantage of it that way. So our goal is to have it from end of campaign, that's 30 days, and into your hands in about 2 months.
Yeah, what drives me nuts is the people who do these things and then, the money runs out.
Yeah.
And then they have to do other projects to make a living, and then,
Yeah.
And then the book never comes out. I know two guys personally that, never come out with their projects. We're
Right.
talking like one guy 10 years now.
10 years, yikes.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like you can never ever look at that guy should he ever decide to go into that kind of venture again. You can never look at that guy with trust, and that that's going to forever hang over his head, even if, and this is the sucky part, even if they fulfill now, right? 10 years later,
Yeah.
even if they fulfill now, people are going to hang that albatross around their neck forever. So there was a lot of thinking about how to make this thing work, or at the very least, stack the deck in my favor, so that, again, building on that customer trust.
Well, you're a smart man.
Hey, Eric, Phil
Yo.
is asking when the Argathena statue busts will be available, or will they only be available through the crowdfunding?
Yep. Well, assuming that, so that's one of the things that we have yet to. Here's the thing: I don't want to go live unless I know for sure those things are deliverable. I don't want it to be at the cusp of, signing contracts for the manufacturer, the people who are going to be effectively, mass producing them, and that has yet to be 100% locked down. So I'd rather push that back, considering this is 6 campaigns total. If I can't lock it down now, I'd rather push it back to the next one. That way, for sure, it's going to go out to you. The worst thing is what Dave just said, which is, oh yeah, there's a tier with like, and this is inspired by, I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember Randy Bowen, those statues, those mini statues
Yeah.
that used to go out?
Yeah.
I love those. And so
me
in
too.
theme and spirit of that, I'm trying to get something similar produced, but I don't want it to be that what Dave said, which is like, oh yeah, there's a tier where if you back it, you get this statue, and then it ends up costing 3x 4x what we initially budgeted for, or what the campaign will yield, right? And that doesn't make any sense. So I'd rather push it back until everything is locked down. And to answer Phil's question, yeah, it's only available in the during the campaign.
I tell you, one of the best things I learned about crowdfunding from Jimmy was, as far as the extra perks.
Yeah,
Never make an extra perk that won't fit in the same envelope
Yeah, for sure.
or package that you're sending out your book in.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you were one of the guys that I reached out to behind the scenes. I hope you don't mind me talking about it, but that was really invaluable, and that's one of the things that you suggested to me was like, hey, if the thing that's going to be sent out is X dimensions, make sure everything fits in there.
Yeah, you don't want to be sending out 2 packages.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's a few pages of art that I just scanned that'll be available if anyone's interested. There is a Thor page by, I guess that's Eric Larson and Mr. Jansen.
Oh, that's
Pop
cool.
Kill cover.
Did you put those rectangles there, or is that
No, I
Jason
did.
did
So, yeah, just so we don't get booted.
okay?
But there are, I maybe showed a little nipple there.
You did,
I don't-
or
I
on the
don't know.
drawing?
I don't know if we would get booted off of StreamYard, but definitely if you were to put this up on YouTube, you would get booted.
Aren't you live on YouTube right now, Jay?
Yeah, here. I think I missed a little part of that nipple. Let me redo that.
Oh, good. I didn't know YouTube called do-oversies. Now we were gonna kick you off, but since you took the time to,
Make that. It's for the kids. We don't want these kids being.
Yeah, also there goes my OnlyFans plans. Apparently, I had a whole bunch of content lined up. Just me,
listen,
me al natural.
listen to this. Somebody in your chat, Jay, just said, "I'm reluctant to back comic Kickstarters, but I've been waiting for almost 5 years on one." What the fuck, man?
Oh my god.
I bet you I know which one it is.
that is a nightmare scenario of 5 years and it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Well, once
Well-
again, not to name names, but I know a guy who didn't fulfill his Kickstarter and then tried to do it 2 more times of the same book, and actually got people
Elsewhere on Kickstarter?
Yeah. It was yeah.
I tried to help them once. It didn't go
I didn't
too
think
well.
I didn't think that they would allow them to do that if a campaign is already fulfilled. How would Kickstarter allow them to relaunch the same or a similar campaign for the same book? Is that
I have no idea how.
I thought that was
they would pull
taboo.
that off, but yeah, it was quite humorous, to say the least.
That's sad, actually. Yikes. Now, in the case of like Indiegogo, and then you say like, okay, so I'm going to double dip and go to Kickstarter. I think the prerequisite there for the same book is that it needs to have an element that didn't exist in the initial campaign. Does that make sense? So it could be a brand new cover. It could be like a gold foil stamp on the cover and so on.
Or a promise that this time he's going to do it. Trust me.
For
I'll
the
get it done
same
this
book,
time.
though, man, that's criminal.
Yeah, it kind of was, but it's the problem with Kickstarter is kind of buyer beware.
Right.
So you kind of have to trust. I mean, like you said, you build up a trust with your base, and they'll come back for more because they know they're not going to get ripped off.
Right. How do you feel, Dave, that guy has effectively just kind of peed in the pool, so to speak, and he kind of dings everybody's projects by accident? What do you think of that?
I'm not happy about it, but
Yeah.
He's a grown ass man. I mean,
That
he's
only hurts
he's
his
only hurting
business.
himself in the long run. So
Well, no, but I mean, the reason why I asked is because there's somebody on, I just read that comment where it could have been that person is the somebody in chat had backed, and now they're that much more reluctant to back another comic book project because this dum missed his deadlines, or it's 5 years late, 4 years late.
yeah,
You're fucking it up for everybody, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, between that and the once again the people who start the kicks, their campaigns before they've done any major amount of work on it,
Yeah.
and and, and they never seem to understand that that money isn't theirs. You know?
Right.
I mean, you can't just expect that to pay your bills. That
For sure.
money should be made first to print the book, you know,
Right.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. For sure.
and then they run into trouble, and you know, can't tell you how many other campaigns I've seen where it's, you know, the people are waiting a year for one comic book.
Yeah. Yeah. For 148 pager, even less sometimes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. So, you know, and also psychologically, I'm sure it plays into the people doing the book probably thinks, well, shit, I got to make this even better, which then slows it down even more, you know, because people have been waiting so long, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I'm done with this toaster thing. I mean, there's only so much I can do for a tiny little piece of paper. It's a fun piece.
Is that a thing that you're doing now, Dave? You're doing them smaller?
Some guy, he collects toaster art.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
boom, toaster. Jump into his death.
Well done.
Good times. All right. Let's see now.
Did Jason just take off?
No, I'm here. Cooper's going bananas because
Everything okay?
Yep. So my brother just showed up to, I don't know, to make the
Kick
dog
your ass?
crazy. Maybe. I'm bigger than him now, so
Like girth wise, or?
yes.
Girth-wise.
I just wanted clarification. I wasn't trying to make fun of the guy.
It's funny.
In spirit, he could have said that. He could have said, "No, I'm bigger than him." How are you, Klaus?
I'm good.
A long time no chit chat.
Thanks. Well, you know, I'm a laid back kind of guy, right?
I was gonna say you're typically not the flamboyant social media type. Although I know you want to be.
I have a small window for flamboyance, and that has already passed for today.
Oh, today is you already used it up? Flamboyant. Saturday's flamboyance is all gone?
Yeah, it be gone.
You've taken your feather boa and put it back in the closet?
Oh, for today, anyways, right? Tomorrow is a new day.
Klaus,
You know,
my kids were in love with you.
Up here.
Say it again. Sorry.
We're bracing for a hurricane today.
No,
Oh,
really?
right. Yeah, you got
In New
that.
York?
Yep.
Jeez. I guess that's the new norm now, isn't it?
It's been a while.
Yeah, but, you know.
They said it was 30 years, but you know what was Hurricane Sandy? I mean, that was
Right, that
Yep.
was not. That was 10
That's
years
what I'm
ago.
saying. I think you better get used to it. It sounds like something that's just going to happen again and again and again.
Eric is working on his creator-owned book called Arc Athena, which will be crowdfunding in September.
I can't wait to show you guys pages. You guys want to see pages? We're in like issue 5.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a 5-issue miniseries that turned into 6 because I realized I can't squeeze everything into like one. We did the math on what it was like to do a 48 pager versus a 100 pager, and when it becomes a hardcover, the math on shipping and handling becomes ludicrous. Especially when you're trying to ship internationally.
Yeah, trying to fit an entire story into, I mean, for us, you know, doing it 4 issues, but they were, I think, 30 something pages each.
Yeah.
But even then, you know, it's not enough time to really make a good story.
No, it's literally just a sampling, right? At that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Klaus, I was
Jason did-
trying to tell you my kids couldn't get enough of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they talk about you every day now.
We talk about you every day too in this house, Klaus.
What? What? Well, thanks. I don't even know what to say. What are they talking about? I'm just curious.
Well, they loved you, like talking to you. They like your personality. They loved, but they also, I don't know if they realized this before, but when we got back, we were having dinner. I was just explaining to them how much of an impact and influence you've been on me. So then they like that, but then also they really liked the fact that Gerard named that character after you because they're big Umbrella Academy fans.
That is my claim to fame, I think. Well, that's sweet. Thanks for saying that, Sean. I really, I enjoyed talking to them about manga.
Yeah, they had a good talk. It's funny because I love that they're friendly with you and Howard Chaykin now. It's like two artists who had such a big influence on me coming up that my kids are friendly with.
Please, thanks, Sean.
Hey, Klaus, we don't talk about you in my household organically. I literally have to put you on a calendar. It was like 2:15 on Thursday. Oh, it's Klaus.
That's right. Let's talk about Klaus.
Yeah.
Until 2:16.
Yeah, 2:16, 2:17 if we're passionate,
That's right. And then it's done. We're done.
And
You gave us,
Klaus and
you
Dave,
gave
I
me
gotta-
more.
Go
You
ahead,
gave me
Eric.
more. What do you call it there, Klaus? You gave me more conversation ammunition. You said there was a feather boa involved, and you're flamboyant. So that's the next thing on the docket.
Dave and Klaus, I just want to thank you guys again for doing that panel. That was really, really awesome and very helpful.
Wait. Give me context. What's the panel?
I did like an ink pulp instruction panel at the con we were at, and
Oh, right on.
Klaus and Dave and Tim and Lee and Jimmy all were on board.
Yeah, it was an amazing crew.
Yeah, it was. It was a great panel, and you stole the show at the end there. You really dropped some knowledge. That was really. I've never seen the teacher side of you, so that was like the whole room was silent, hanging on you. It was amazing.
I forgot that is a component of Klaus's history is the instructor side, right? That's awesome, dude.
Hey, Eric, who's doing the coloring on your book?
There's a
Joe
kid
was
by the
asking.
name of Giuliano Peritelli, Brazilian kid who does phenomenal work.
Yeah, where do you find these people?
Online. I just go like I see a piece of artwork and I go like, who is the person coloring that? And that goes overlooked. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when you're trying to go for a look and feel, not very many people can hang because there's a look and feel to modern comics, right? But because that's not what I was going for, it was really hard to find people who potentially could context switch that dramatically. And this kid could.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Comics have a very different look these days, man.
Yeah, they do.
In a span of like 10 years, I can look back on something that was being published in 2010 and look at it now and go like, what is this color palette?
What do you think has changed, Eric?
I think, and this is general, and by the way, this is not to diminish the guys who are currently working in the industry. I think there has been an infusion of a forgive the term, like a Tumblr art palette that has made it into modern comic books.
Yeah, I agree
Where-
with that. I agree with that.
Where things have a tendency to be a little bit more flat, be more palette centric as opposed to render centric, and then to the point of oversimplification. So this is what I mean. When some people who rendered at the beginning in that style and in that palette actually had an understanding of how to make it work, right? They understood the principle and the premise behind it. So they knew how to apply it so that everything made sense. And one of the first people I saw use it was, who was doing the colors on early Stuart Immonen back when he was doing X-Men? somebody knew, whoever that was, knew what they were doing with that
Is
color
that
palette.
Posner? Justin Posner?
I can't recall. Forgive me.
I'm
But
thinking
anyway,
Martha Garcia.
yes, and I think they're the same person that's doing the work on the current X-Men artist. Who is that rock star that's doing similar style to Stewart? Oh shoot, Pepe Larraz. Anyway, so you take that premise and you put it in the hands of somebody who's capable, an actual craftsman and an artist, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know if it's similar to you guys, but back in the day when I would be like, okay, so what's getting hired right now, or what's getting work right now, you know? You take a look at comics that you know in offices that you'd want to go work for, and you go, "Oh, that's cool. I can do that. I can mimic that." But what you don't have is the principal understanding of why it works. You just see the execution, right? And that's what's happening, right? That keeps getting hired on, and I've been highly critical of an editorial offices that don't have a competent art director in place, because all they see is like, well, that book kind of looks like the 3 books that we did previous, and so we're just going to keep doing that. We just keep regurgitating that look and feel, not realizing there's an actual craft component that's missing. So books have a tendency to look really boring because people those people who don't know, the colorists that don't know what they're doing, are just applying the palette, applying the technique, and not realizing how to optimize best for storytelling. You know, like for even something as primary and as simple as like foreground, middle ground, and background. They just have no concept. They just go like, oh, one is purple and the middle ground is pink and the background is yellow. And like, why did you do that? Oh, because I saw it on X-Men issue X, Y, and Z from that guy that Sean just mentioned, you know? It's really like there is no learned place that it's come from. So it's not exciting to look at anymore. And that's the other thing. It's like, I don't know if they have an understanding of the IP that they're representing, right? So if you are making an action, I can understand. Like for instance, I just saw this Hugh Jackman movie last night. What's it called?
Reminiscence.
Reminiscence, right? And I was looking at the color palette of that movie, and it dawned on me. I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Westworld. And when I looked at the creative team behind it, I was like, oh yeah, it's one of the directors from Westworld, right? And I go like, oh, they have a clear understanding of the tone and tenor and the story, the narrative that they're trying to get across. And that's why the color palette and the lighting looks exactly like this. Sometimes it stepped away from that. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's a weird, boring shot. But for the most part, pretty great color palette. Yeah. Similar to comics, right? If you have an understanding of your audience and most importantly, the IP that you're coloring for, you cater the color palette to that, not just because it's the color palette that is of the color palette du jour, so to speak. And I don't point at the
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
that's okay. I rarely point at the creatives at the on the execution end. I often point at the editorial and leadership staff and go, do you guys have an understanding of the thing that you're making?
Well,
You
let's
know?
be honest. Most editors aren't artists; they're
Yeah.
writers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. So,
And that's why I go, I think you agree with this, Dave, where it's like, that's why when I look at comics, I go like, what's exciting to look at about that page? You know, it's few and far between. Everything is colored so damn flat.
well, my biggest problem is a lot of modern colorists. They don't know shadows. They
Yeah,
don't know
correct.
light sources.
I agree.
You know, they just put willy-nilly light sources all over the place. Oh, there's an uplight. You know, because I want to throw some purple uplight. And they're like,
Right.
where's that light coming from?
Right,
You know,
right.
like they don't block out the color, or they don't block out the shapes first and then color. They just color.
Sure. And I mean, I'm a proponent of like taking creative liberty from time to time. Sometimes something really cool comes out of it, but you have to be consistent. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many times I've just like, I mean, I mainly pay attention to colors, but it's like, good Lord, you know, like there's a light source. Use it. You know, don't ignore it. You know,
Yeah,
good
and you
grief.
And you
It's
set it
right
up to
there.
be that this room is lit generally by this particular color. But for the next 5 pages, you're like, I'm just gonna randomly switch away from that and take. For me as a reader, I notice that stuff not because like some not because I'm art centric, but some of that stuff really gets into your brain, subconsciously. You're like, whoa, why did that light source change all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Why did the completely red room suddenly have like purple, rim light on everybody? I don't understand where that's coming from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think some of it, like you said, people are just, they're looking at other stuff, as instead of looking at my other biggest beef is they're looking at other comic book art instead of looking at real life. Like it's just like these colors don't exist in real life. I've never seen, God, DC is the worst. There's so many colors at DC that uses this blue-green color, like to the point where it just drives me nuts.
It's their thing, though, right? Like it's almost a thumbprint for their product.
It's one of the worst colors out there, and it's almost like whoever's in charge over there now just goes, hey, you know what we need? We need more blue-green.
Yeah,
that blue-green.
What's more
green? That's the jam. I'm like, no, it's not. It's terrible.
What's sobering is you pointed out whoever is in charge over there asked for more of that. What's more sobering is the idea that there's nobody in charge.
Yeah, no, I know. Believe me, I know. It's crazy.
Klaus, can you go in there and just drop as much information as possible? Give him like a 3-day course. Klaus doesn't want the job. Klaus just left.
Klaus, I think, took a phone call. He should be back in a minute.
I think
Maybe
that was
he's
DC.
getting a phone call from DC.
Yeah, it's DC or Marvel.
We heard some crap about our comics.
We heard Dave Johnson saying that we use an awful lot of green and blue.
Well, here's a Sean Crystal page, if anyone's interested.
What's that from, Sean?
That's a Scarlet Witch. I did an issue of that with James Robinson.
Oh, right on.
So if anyone's interested, we have it at 200, but we'll do a deal. I don't know, Sean, what do you want to offer the same convention deal we had going on?
Sure. That's fine.
What was the convention deal?
We were doing 50% off.
On those portfolios, yeah.
That's awesome.
And a hand job.
And Dave will give you a hand job.
Dave just offered.
Hey, you know what? For my friends,
anything
to move your art.
What a good guy.
If this broadcast was full of dicks for Sean Crystal, I would give a hand job to everyone for freedom. For freedom.
Dave's the best.
Look at that handsome young man.
Oh my God! Where are you? Jesus
you gave Jason access to your hard drive right now when you signed on to this stream, Dave.
I mean,
who wouldn't deep dive for that one?
Is that what do you call it? Do you have a necklace? Is it made out of shells?
It's a silver necklace. What about it? It's not super big.
I mean, we've got a few of them here.
It was the 80s. Give me a break.
See? My future daughter.
Yeah. How about your
My future daughter. Listen, I want to, what do you call it? I want to be very clear. I feel bad every time we flash this young lady's photo because I don't know who they are.
When I found that, I almost fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard.
This is the best.
Oh, man.
There it is. There it is. Klaus?
Is that before you got kicked out of YouTube?
Klaus looks like one of Hans Gruber's henchmen from Die Hard 1.
Hans Gruber's younger brother.
I love it, man. Yeah. Somebody killed his brother, and now he's back in Die Hard 3.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's all. You look amazing, Sean Crystal.
That's not good.
Oh, sorry.
I think we scared everyone.
Was that Bozo the Clown without makeup?
It was. That's pandemic hair.
Holy cow. I didn't make the connection. That was you, Jay.
Yeah. That was in the heat of the pandemic.
He has a magnet
last
on his
year?
car.
Had you not look? Let's look again. Did you not get? Oh my God!
I hadn't got a haircut in about 6 months.
You are unrecognizable.
No good. But this
There
is
it
what I was
is.
going for. Dan didn't want to be in the stream today, so we got to give him a little nod.
Yeah, that's Coke and baby oil, Dan.
And then hopefully next week we'll have Cully. Cully will come in next week.
Oh, look at that baby face.
Cully is unrecognizable from his early pictures.
Let's see it again.
You want to see Cully?
Yeah. Look at that. I
I don't
can't
know.
tell that that's him.
Yeah, I can still. Man, those
Yeah,
were
that's
that was
Cullen.
the Gaijin days.
Hey, listen, I'll tell him this when we talk next week if I manage to show up. But that's an excessive amount of forehead on Cully right there.
And no one's drawing where.
Yeah,
There.
whose phone is ringing?
I think that was my fax machine.
Oh,
You have a fax machine?
Yeah, Jay, what are you doing?
was it right next to your?
Hey,
Is it right next to your beeper?
1975 calls.
I was gonna say, like, what the fuck? Who
Dave
still
just
has a
nailed it.
fax machine?
Dave just dropped the best joke. You guys buried it next to his beeper.
Holy
You still have
crap!
it. I still
Jason,
have
why do you still have a fax machine?
it. No, it's part of my. It's the all-in-one. It's connected to a phone line, so it checks every now and again.
It checks what?
I don't know,
If
it
you're
checks
getting
the line out.
faxes from like the
For my grandfather. in 1982.
It's like we're receiving a fax from 1985, Jay.
Yeah.
Man, we used to have so much fun with people's faxes back at Gaijin. I think my favorite one was the Dick fax.
The which
And
ones?
we would draw 2 lines on a piece of paper, like multiple pieces of paper, just 2 lines.
Yeah.
We'd tape them all together, and then eventually the lines would have a vein that would start, and then eventually it would end up on the head of the penis. And we would, so they would get this, I don't know, 9-foot long fax. With
Yeah.
Just 2 lines.
You would just eat up so much of that thermal paper, man.
Oh, the worst one was especially with the thermal. If I can't remember who we did it to, but we found out they had a thermal fax machine, and we just taped like 3 pieces of black paper together, and made and we just sent them a loop of black, and it burned out their thermal.
Go back to that. Go back to that Dave Johnson page real quick, Jason.
This one?
What does something like this go for?
It's $1 million.
Is it $1 million,
It's
Dave?
a Dave Johnson original.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I send it to Jason to figure out what it's worth.
Oh, I see. Do you give him a
Let's see.
suggestion to be like just $1 million, no less than?
I mean,
Did
it's
you do
know.
those lines behind Shang-Chi by hand?
Oh, it looks like it.
Yeah. Originally, I finished it up in Photoshop, and I used a Photoshop thing. But then I was like, well, shit, it's gonna look like a crap original without it. So yeah, those are. I mean, you look at it; they're not super tight. I mean,
It looks super awesome.
A French curve or something, or what?
no, it's just I just put it on a light box and just kind of winged it.
It's pretty amazing. No white paint?
No,
Wow.
That's
I
the
only
Dave Johnson
recently-
precision.
Only recently have I started getting into using white paint again. I mean, for years, I just if I made a mistake, I would just add more black or start over.
There are those little veiny things on the tentacles on the head inside that. What is that? Is that a cup? Is it a what is that thing, Dave? In the
What? Oh, the thing the chick is in?
yeah. Is it like a
I don't
chalice?
know.
Whatever. Anyway, the point is, there's like this dry brush technique near its eyeball. Is that the pen, or are you like simulating that with like? What are you doing there?
Oh, with the skull?
Yeah, well, there's skull itself, and then if you look up to the creature's, the creature that has a skull that's coming out of it in the mouth,
Yeah.
to its right eye, right? There's that little dry brush technique, and are you like doing little thinner pen strokes?
Yeah.
there?
No, it's just thinner lines.
You fancy man.
I know. It's crazy.
Look at you busting it all out. That looks great, man. $1 million?
Do half
Oh.
price for you though. Half
500?
price for you. Yep.
I figured, like I said, it had been sitting in a drawer for quite a few years, and I figured with the movie coming out, might be a good time to try to sell it.
And that was going to be my question. Is it what it's for Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, the book was called The Deadly Fists of Kung Fu, but it's the character themselves.
That's what I was looking for. Deadly Fist of Kung Fu. All right. It takes me usually like 3 days to track down all the titles.
Isn't there a comic book cover resource available to you, Jason, online somewhere?
Yeah, I have to put Dave Johnson Shang-Chi, and then I have to scroll through all the Dave Johnson art to see if I can find it.
That sounds like a tough job, Jay.
It just takes a
You
little
know,
time.
I like to make Jay earn his 20%.
It sounds like a tough job to look at cool Dave Johnson art when you type in Dave Johnson's Shang-Chi.
I really
So-
love your postings, Eric, on Instagram.
Yeah, I have-
the color stuff you do is amazing.
Thanks, Klaus.
That was Pablo, by the way.
Who's that?
Pablo called, I think, right, Klaus?
Yeah.
You like how
we're-
Jason was eavesdropping on your conversation, Klaus?
We were listening in.
We're editing the next installment of Sacred Creatures.
What is Sacred Creatures, Klaus?
It's a creator
Tell
on
your-
book that came out a couple of years ago, and we're doing the second volume at Image. The
Listen
first
to
volume,
you.
I think it was 2 or 3 years already. The first volume came out.
So it's obvious I keep up with whatever that you're doing. We don't have to talk about
No,
that.
things change so rapidly, Eric.
Yes.
And 2 or 3 years these days is a lifetime. It really is. So
How do you mean?
I think that first of all, the attention span of the audience has, I think, become even smaller. But I think the industry and the business and properties and IP just come out in such a furious pace these days that I don't expect anybody to remember anything from 3 years ago. It's almost unreasonable. I went to, which I try to go every week. I went to Forbidden Planet on Wednesday, and it was like a banner week. Well, I bought like $45 just of comics.
So
And-
so you bought 2 comics then?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's right.
Like an inaccessible medium.
But it was just amazing, diverse. It's not every week like that. Some weeks I don't buy anything because it's just crap. But it's so interesting what people are doing. Don't you
Now,
think?
is this across the board as far as and like this this spans a gamut of publishers, right? Klaus, is not just mainstream, or are you talking exclusively mainstream?
No, it's mainstream. I saw an interesting book by Aftershock. What else did I get? Jonah by Chris Samney, which is at home. Have you seen that book?
I have not. I'm not up on the
It's
on
some
the
of
recent
the
stuff.
most charming. You know Chris Samney's work, right? I'm sure you
I do. I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's some of his most charming, well-colored, easy to read. Yeah, it's fascinating to see what people are doing.
I wanted to talk about that thing that you just said, which is like there is just what seems to be an onslaught of comics that are coming out, and then because of just the nature of who we are as a comic book buying public, it just goes down the memory hole so quickly. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know if things are, if shelves are getting populated so quickly because there's got to be multiple reasons. One, you want to make sure that you are sort of the prominent publisher that's on the shelves week in and week out. But I also feel like some people use comics as just a stepping stone to the next thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
about
that's why everything becomes just like, hey, let's put it out. That way we have it as a notch on our belt. And then we can transform it into whatever next media deal that we have, which makes a lot of sense because generally comics don't make a ton of money. But I also think that's the reason why you see an influx of a bunch of stuff that just ends up, disappearing in a way, because there hasn't been really a long-term investment in making sure that's the thing that a customer base will pick up month in and month out. That's not a criticism of you, obviously, Klaus. It's just general,
No,
Like I think
you're right.
I see a
But I
lot of
do
comics. Go ahead.
Let me say this. I think one of the things that is, we're on the verge, I think, of a revolution in terms of the creators getting the proper amount of financing or income or remuneration for the work that they do. It's no longer a situation where the big two or the big three, whatever, how many you want to count, take 90% of the profits. It's really an opportunity at this point where the creators will take 100% of the profits. If you're smart enough to finagle that,
Yeah.
and I think that's going to become more and more common and more and more prevalent. And I think that's really a revolution in terms of how the creators are able to make a living and how they're viewed and how they're looked at and the power that the creators have. And I just think it's an amazing turn of events. Tell me I'm wrong, please.
You're wrong.
Dave, I was going to ask Dave. You have experience in more creator owned books, right? Creator owned projects. What do you think?
Not really.
No?
No, I just I've just had this latest thing, the Popkill thing.
Yeah.
Which, hey, if it got made into a movie, I would be completely happy. But you can't count on that. It's
Right.
either going to happen or it's not.
Yeah.
I was working on a TV series pitch with a buddy of mine, and I don't know if you've seen it, but this video came out. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek video of this woman explaining just what's going to happen when you try to pitch a TV show, and it was so disheartening. And it was funny the way she did it, but it just made it sound like you're 300 pounds. Oh, you're 300 pounds and in a wheelchair, and you want to climb Mount Everest. Well, here's why you're going to fail. It was kind of like that. And
Was she right based on your
Oh
experience?
yeah. No, I mean, it's obviously somebody who knows the business and what's going to happen when you try to, cold call pitch anything.
Right.
And even if it gets accepted, all the crap that's going to go wrong and how long it's going to take and how much it's going to change and
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh my God. So, I decided, well, maybe we should go the comic route. I mean,
That's it. Yeah.
it's not really a comic centric idea, but then again, a lot of books aren't, about. It's got a little bit of supernatural to it, but as far as a TV show, it would have been great. But now I kind of feel like, well, if we make it into a comic, we kind of have to pump that up a little bit,
Yeah,
make it
for sure.
make it more fun for a reader,
Right.
pump up the action a little bit more,
Yeah.
than letting a drama just play out. So I don't know. We're gonna give it a shot. The only other issue is, like, we were thinking about pitching it to AWA, and their business model is, they kind of want things to be 4 issues at the most 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're talking about a series idea, it's kind of hard to fit all that in, or at least enough of it that it would whet the appetite.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow. We're gonna try to go this new direction and see what we can come up with.
That's awesome, man.
Right.
Good luck.
But Dave, I do think 4 to 6 is a good idea.
Yeah, no, I'm believe me, I know, the days of 100 issues of 100 bullets, are hard to come by, unless a company wants, is owning it outright. But for a creator-owned book, yeah, you kind of need to get in, get out, before you start losing money, I guess. So, but we'll see what happens.
Going back to something that you said earlier, I think that I am completely aligned to that, Dave. I've been, you and I have worked for the same animation company in the past. I've done like video games. I've done other people's comics, and I'd come to realize that it's the only thing that is, at the very least, as close to 100% control that's on me,
Yeah.
And I think that's why I fell back in love with it again. I had to get over the fact that it wasn't making money. Like
Yeah.
if I were to do it exclusively for somebody else, that's great. But based on the time that I spend behind the table, and this is just my personal experience, like based on the time that I spend behind the table, I can't do it fast enough, or is my work prestigious enough to garner the kind of page rate that would be, at least then, hold up to my cost of living. And then
Well,
you
yeah,
fast forward
exactly.
10,
I mean-
15 years, and I'm like, oh, I love this because it doesn't have the built-in headaches that, pitching a movie does. This doesn't have the built-in kind of hoops that you have to jump through because you want to turn it into an animated series. This is just me doing it. I have to fund it. I have to find a way to produce it. But at the end of the day, it belongs to me.
Yeah, I mean, people always ask me why I don't do more commercial work, or why don't you do movie posters or yada yada yada, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, the bullshit you got to deal with,
Sure.
with getting people to approve stuff.
Mhm.
I'd so much rather just do my own. Comics are easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have some changes here and there, but for the most part, it's like, oh, there you go, it's good, it's a print. I mean, that's one thing I love about comics is if I screw up, there's always next month.
Right.
It's just a comic book
Right.
cover. It's not an ad campaign costing millions of dollars. So to me, you can have more fun with it. You can
Yeah.
take more chances.
Yeah. And I'll say
So-
this, drawing this book has been such a tremendous amount of fun, as opposed to drawing somebody else's book, if that
Oh,
makes
sure.
any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so much more invested, not necessarily to get everything right, but to make everything enjoyable, even as a reader, as an audience member, right? Whereas in the previous sort of hamster wheel, I get the script and I'm like, I guess I'm just drawing this, It's
Yeah.
rare that somebody openly invites you to contribute as a creative, to say, okay, this is the script and this is basically the premise, but if there's something here that you can help plus up, that's never happened to me in my comic book professional career. And so I'm finding that this doesn't feel as, this is still work, but this doesn't feel as laborious as it did X amount of years ago when I first had my go around with comics.
Yeah, if I ever, and I can't imagine why I would, decide to go back to doing interiors,
Yeah.
it would have to be something of my own, just because
Yeah.
I don't want to draw Superman all day long, page after page.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
It's somebody else's dream, and they can have it.
Well,
It's for them,
But I also did it.
Yeah.
I did my stint. It's not my jam.
Mhm.
Some people, that's I discovered singular ideas are what floats my boat. Not
What does that mean, Dave?
well, as opposed to doing page after page. I'd like to. My storytelling comes from, can I get it done in one image?
I gotcha.
at the
I
cover.
gotcha. Yeah. When did that realization kick in? Was it around 100 bullets time, or when did that sort of really culminate in your head to be like, I think I enjoy this more than sequential stuff?
Well, it came from when I was working on Superman Red Sun, and I was agonizing over. I wish somebody had come up with a name for this. kind of like the Dunning-Kruger thing. But when an artist learns more than his ability is to reach what he's learned, and it becomes a frustrating exercise.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was going through on Superman. Was I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't reaching it, and it just became crippling. You know?
Really? I
Oh, yeah.
remember that was right around the time that you were kind enough to start showing my portfolio around to everybody. And you and I had started building up like a friendship and a relationship, and you would send me some of that stuff. And so I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? It was such a stylistic departure from tone, tenor, and just approach than the stuff I'd gotten accustomed to, which is Super Patriot 1 and 2. That I thought, this guy's doing next level shit, man. So it's funny to hear you say, oh, it just wasn't landing what I had in my head.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem was, I sometimes I think ignorance is bliss. If I just kind of stayed in my own head and go, yeah, that's pretty good for me. Probably, but then, you start looking at what other people are doing, and especially today, I've been kind of having a bit of an existential crisis about the state of comic book covers.
What did you do, Sean? Why did you do this today?
Yeah, it's all Sean's fault.
What's your crisis, Dave?
Well, I've just noticed the influx of Photoshop kids.
Sure.
That's the only way I can describe them. The new artists that not only had all these ladder steps to step on, from previous art, but they learned all the tricks of rendering and over rendering and painterly tricks, and they're turning in stuff that if they had to do it in paint like Joe Jusko, it would have taken them weeks. And it gets to the point where it's like, well, shit, I don't want to render that much, but
Right.
I feel like that's kind of what people want, or at least editorial, like they could get something graphic by me, or they could get something hyper rendered.
Right.
And, it's what moves books. And you see this influx of cover artists that are about hyper rendered, but if you really look at the design, it's mainly pinup art. There's no design to anything. It's just a figure standing there, but it's all super rendered. It's all the airbrush tricks and all the Photoshop tricks, and it makes it look like $1 million. But to me, it's kind of like, well, it usually doesn't tell the story at all, and I feel like the industry's gotten away from actually, bold storytelling images, and now it's about how many covers can you have of a character doing the same kind of thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I'm into it. I get it.
So,
yeah. Klaus, where are we? Do we hate these new kids? Are we into hating the kids now, Klaus?
I don't know if I don't know if I would characterize it as that way. I find most of the work that they produce, I don't want to say that. Most of the decisions that they make, I disagree with. And I could not agree with Dave more that it's rendering. But the 80s or the 70s, the 90s had that version of that mentality also, where you got the image style where it was all just a lot of lines, a lot of feathering, a lot of line work, a lot of detail, and that was pre-Photoshop. The thing that I would that I lament perhaps is that the people, the editorial staff is much younger than I am. You know, they're in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And they don't know the difference between over rendering and design. And so they know what sells and they know what appeals to them on the surface, which
Yes.
is, you know, hyper rendering, as Dave points out correctly, or lots of lines, lots of detail, lots of special effects. And so this is what they know. This is the sandbox that they play in. And they don't understand design. They don't understand graphics. They don't understand, you know, what's beneath the surface. So they're looking at work that is very superficial and very surface level.
Sure.
And I wish that, you know, editorial was not necessarily populated with 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds. You know, I'd love to have, you know, DC or Marvel have an art director.
Yes.
And they don't.
Right.
You know, and I
Klaus, is it? I mean, I hear what you're saying with age and all, but I think it's there's a complete lack of training. I think a 30-year-old would be fine if they were trained in design and composition and value and all these elements we're talking about.
Sure. Right.
I mean, like, what are the requirements to be an editor?
I
Well,
think
that's two things. I think
it's
that's
all
two
literary,
things, right?
You know.
Yeah. I think some, like, you know, when I remember this was a little while back, so I don't know the exact detail on how I presented the idea, but I remember getting a cover assignment from Marvel, and I'd sent in thumbnails to them, as you do, and said, hey, which one of these, you know, fits the look and feel that what you're going for.
Well, that's where you failed initially.
Wait, bear with me through this story.
Yeah, I never.
Bear with me through this story. So
All
I
right,
sent
all
them.
right.
I sent them X amount, and they picked one out. But they had said something about one of the ones that I had, because I was trying to channel Barry Windsor Smith, right? And they described that particular thumbnail as to be esoteric.
Esoteric?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Esoteric.
Oh,
And
esoteric.
my esoteric tastes, right? And I thought, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because in my head, I go like, first, the cover, your assignment prompt was lackluster, so I didn't know what you were going for. This almost felt like, hey, just draw any of these characters and it should work, right? And which I had never gotten before in that sort of like openness, because I hope that I'm generating a cover that's relevant to the issue that would get you excited about picking it up, right? But it's stopped becoming about that. And then, here's the more important one. This is the thing that I raised during that on Twitter, and somebody immediately gave me the Eric, don't talk about that face, you know? I asked, what qualifies an editor now to look through an artist's thumbnails and make them go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for our product. Execute it to that and move the nose over like this and blah, 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 right? Like all of the things that, you know, I'm not ashamed to say it. That's the kind of shit that Chiarella would call me out on a lot back in the day. You know, he'd say, hey, move this over because it's running tangentially to this element and things are getting lost. Do this all in one color so that this foreground element will pop. Just the fundamental understanding of what's legible, exciting, and on brand for that cover. But when I raised that question, I was almost, you know, like I'm trying to land on an aircraft carrier. They're waving me off that flight path. Because I think there's a bunch of soft people on the editorial end that don't want to have their qualifications put under a microscope. Right? Yeah. To be asked, like, why do you get to make artistic calls on a cover that you're asking for? Is it because it's incumbent to the position? Is it incumbent to the role of as an editor? But I would hope that, you know, you actually have training behind that. You actually have an eye for what you're talking about, rather than saying, well, this is how I feel, right? So when you say like, oh, I feel like your cover's a bit esoteric, I'm like, okay, but you're not really giving me actionable feedback. We're going on feelings conversation, you know? Right. And that to me is a clear, that's anecdotal in its premise, but it was a clear indication to me that I'm like, oh, there's nobody in those positions that I can actually turn to and say, what about this composition? You know, what about, you know, what color choices am I not landing so that this thing is so much more legible? Is the something, you know, we should never ever talk about anatomy when it comes to my work, so I apologize ahead of time. But is there something anatomically here that's throwing anybody off, you know?
Yeah, but Eric, I think you're totally correct, and it's interesting you use the word feel, because I think that is how the people who we work for the most part, that is the criteria by which they judge the work.
For sure.
And it is impossible to talk to somebody about composition or about design. And in a lot of ways, I don't blame them. You know, I understand they come from, you know, a literary background or journalism background or an English background, and they haven't had a lot of training in art or none. But it is so fascinating because the word that you're using is absolutely correct. They're basing their judgment on feeling and not insight or knowledge. It's all about the spectacle and not about what's underneath that can help or hinder, you know, the communication of the piece that you're working on. It is about spectacle. And when you talk to somebody who traffics in spectacle, you know you're talking to a civilian, because a civilian will always fall back on, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. So what they like is, you know, color or spectacle or lines or, you know, hyperrealism or hyper rendering, as Dave said. And it is a regretful thing about the industry, and it's gotten worse.
Both of your notes, Dave's in specific, when he says, like, this is rendered, this is amazing, all the tricks are here, but the foundational understanding of how this works, you know, just on design alone and how to help highlight whatever narrative that you're trying to present on this cover is missing. This is amazing in its technicality. This is underwhelming in its execution, you know? But to your point, you know, I don't put a lot of blame on the editorial staff, because again, they were hired on for a very specific reason. What I ultimately put into question are the people who are in the roles of stewardship for these books and these titles, and that means everybody above everybody above the editorial staff. I always laughingly ask, like, you guys know you're making comics, right? And you guys know you're making comics of dudes with superpowers and like jumping around shooting eye lasers at each other. Do you guys know that needs a very specialized, learned position in place, who's an art director, you know? And if the answer is no, we're just going to go with this, you know, with what we have right now because it seems to be working, that to me speaks volumes as far as like where your emphasis is in your product, you know? So it's like, you know, this is a race car, right? So we need to make sure that not just the car works, but the driver behind the car knows what they're doing.
Well,
and you guys didn't hire the right driver, you know?
There's also the best way I can describe the kind of work it is, it's pandering, you know?
Yes. Yeah. That's a good word. That's a good word.
And sometimes a lot of these covers just feel like pandering to, you know, a base emotion, which is usually sexual. You know, especially when it comes to the female superheroes. You know, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's, you know, shouldn't be done, you know, but it, you know, once again, I'm just tired of those kind of covers. They bore me, you know? You know, add a little bit of action in there. It's kind of the same thing, you know, my public stance about, you know, Batman on a gargoyle.
Sure.
At least on a cover, you know, it's like, if you're going to do it, add something to it that gives it something else, or come up with a different way of doing it. But just, ooh, it's my turn to draw Batman on a gargoyle on a cover. And I'm like, like
It would
shoot
be
a
my
little
mi-
higher. Shoot a little
it
higher.
would be my mission in life to get a Batman cover gig just so I can do that thing and be like, Dave, be proud of me.
Exactly.
No, to do the Batman on a gargoyle. My
Yeah, no, I
version.
know. Once again, I know it's kind of like a bucket list kind of thing for every artist. It was I'm the same way,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's been done to death. You need to, just come up with something.
Yeah.
Give
And
me
again,
something. Give me
I
something
point to the
else.
bosses and go like, that's been done to death, right?
Yeah.
But here's always the different hats that people like in this experience of producing my own book. You put on different hats that make you go like, whoa, this is exciting, but hold on a second, is this marketable? Right? And if an art director is looking at something and going like, Batman on a gargoyle freaking sells, man. We hate it because it's old, because it's been done to death. But every time we put it on the cover, geez, we make posters, we make underwear, we make pajamas out of it, and it does really, really well for itself.
That's what I mean by pandering. You're basically pandering. You're not trying to do anything new. You're doing something. It's when people do what I call the rock band poster shot.
Sure.
The character's just standing there looking at a camera, looking badass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my God, how many times
you're all done with that.
Do that
You're
cover,
done. Yeah.
I mean, it's and yet, that's like a Marvel and DC staple.
Yeah, for sure.
Like every book has that cover at least, 4 or 5 times a year. I mean,
can we not hope? And I'm asking, can we not hope that those two schools of thought, the uninformed pandering, mainstream covers, and the more informed kind of work that that we're talking about, that Eric and Dave are talking about, can we not hope that they can both coexist?
Yeah,
and that they both have, reasons to exist, that, what I'm saying, right?
I do.
Yeah.
And but a part of it to me, and by the way, I have to excuse myself in like 2 minutes. Part of it to me is you have to have a culture in that workplace that holds that concept that you're talking about right now, Klaus, in high value, right? You have to have a bunch of people that says that's important to us. As a company, as a collective, as a publisher, that's really one of the things that we want to help highlight, because I don't think hope is enough. I think you have to have a bunch of people at the front end go, okay, we understand that Batman on a gargoyle moves units like you couldn't believe, but at the very least, let's not do it for every other issue. Yeah. Let's actually attempt to grow that out into anything. Let's do it every 50th cover. Let's do it every 100th cover, because we know it's so tired.
No, I think you're right. If I something that I've noticed and that's happening in the last couple of years, and it is that there was a time when I would be invited, or Howard Chaykin would be invited, or Carl Potts, or Joe Quesada, or whomever, would do workshops at the big two, if I can use that phrase to describe Marvel and DC, and that ain't happening anymore, and it hasn't happened for a couple of years.
For sure.
And I use that. I mean, I'm aware of it, and I use that as sort of as a barometer to gauge, what DC and Marvel are currently interested in. And I can't help but think, because of the lack of inviting people in to talk about art, that they've essentially given up.
Yeah, well, that's the cultural shift that I was talking about, right? Where it's just like, that needs to be important to the DNA of your company. Absolutely. Or else it's going to fall by the wayside as quickly as possible. There's in in the company that I worked for, there was an event that's held, I think, annually. At one point, it started becoming held twice every year. But it was an opportunity for the company not to take a break, but for them to form smaller teams so that they can generate something that they believe is a missing component in the marketplace, right?
That's
Whether it
great.
be a new game, whether it be a new functionality, whether it be something else, right? And the company invested in a week's worth of that at the end of that week. So it was pretty much crunch time. Maybe it's mainly 2 weeks, but anyway, short amount of time. And then those teams would then present company-wide the thing that they came up with, because they understood how important it was for not just the innovation, but the fact that they are actively trying to keep a culture in which that innovation was allowed, as opposed to just going down the street, going down the, like, oh, this is just the status quo, this is just what we do. And once you lose track of that, once you lose track of your company DNA, it's not too far of a stretch to go like, oh, you're just producing a bunch of Batman on a gargoyle again, you know? All right, I'm gonna excuse myself. Have a great
Hey,
morning,
Eric.
afternoon, everybody. We'll
Before
talk to
you
you
go,
later.
All right,
Yeah.
see you later, Eric.
See you, Eric.
I mean, speaking of that subject, I remember there was a brief time at Marvel where it seemed like the marching orders was, we don't want story covers, we want pinup covers, because we can take the pinup covers and put them on lunchbox. Uh-oh.
Mike, I got.
Lost Klaus again.
I got to mute him there. That's a bit loud.
Yeah.
There he is.
But, you know, I mean, that was such a terrible, I don't know, edict, I thought.
Well, can I add something to that, Dave? I think part of the reason why that happened is because the stories were planned at a certain point so far in advance, or so lacking in advance, perhaps, that when it came time to do a cover, which the covers had to be done like 4 months, 6 months in advance, they didn't know what the story was. So they resorted to pin-up stuff that really had nothing to do with the interior story. And I think we're still in that frame of mind.
I think I think they, for fun, they should let the cover art dictate the story inside.
That's actually a great idea. Yeah.
I did that once with Jeff Parker. I was doing it was some book he hadn't written yet. I think it had a gorilla on it, and I wanted to do like an insert panel, like a circular insert panel, and I just created this wacky character with another. It was like a guy with a glass insert into his own brain, and inside his brain was another dude, and I just said, hey, you figure it out. And he did. It was funny,
I love that. And that's what makes comics fun.
Exactly.
All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Jace, you going to let me go?
I guess so.
All right, thank you.
Hey,
It was nice.
hanging out with
It was nice to see you guys.
you. Yeah.
Good to
See
see
what
you
you're
too,
up to.
Klaus.
Yeah, send me a scan when you're done with that one. I think there's a few guys that are interested in it.
What? Are you talking about the Punisher thing?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
If you want to show it before you leave.
Say it again?
Just show it off before you leave.
Well, it's not quite done, but yeah, here it is. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need some, some spatter and some, some superficial special effects.
You need some
'Cause that's what
Photoshop
we're
kids
all
to come
about.
in on it, Klaus.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right,
right.
have a good one.
Take care,
All
Klaus.
right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So where are the rest of your boys, Jason?
I don't know.
Yeah, what happened to the
Mateo-
Italians?
Mateo said he was going to try to stop in, but he's obviously not here at the moment. John Timms was going to try to stop in. Excuse me.
Are you doing this next week too?
I guess if you guys want to, we can try.
I mean, I can come in on Saturdays. That's an easy day for me to do it. I'll be here.
Yeah, we could do it for an hour or two. Maybe I'll get some more art ready for show and tell if anyone wants. I know Eric was looking for some Ladytron some pages.
Yeah, I'll probably drop after I finish this one.
Yeah, I'm about done. I just gotta just letting the ink dry before I erase and scan.
Are there any other questions or?
You did have a question. Do you still have your 1970 Cutlass?
No. No, it turns out that was a death trap. Found out after I sold it. I sold it, thankfully, to a mechanic who did a complete, what's over on it. And he actually called me back and said, I'm lucky to be alive.
What was wrong with it?
The steering wheel linkage was hanging on by a thread. So I could have been driving down the street or driving down the highway, and then all of a sudden, no steering wheel.
They're overrated anyway.
Yeah. And the front clip was also hanging on by a thread. So things that other mechanics failed to notice for some reason.
Maybe they're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So there's a Ladytron page, Eric, or if anyone's interested.
Ladytron.
There's 2 pages I just pulled out.
Eric's one of the reasons why I stopped doing mechanical art. Him and Dan Norton, and Clem.
Oh man, Clem was crazy with it.
Yeah, I it was kind of like being a Babe artist, and then Adam Hughes comes along. You're just like, well,
I'm done.
Time to do something else.
These pages were inked by Mark Irwin.
Oh no shit!
Some of them.
Nice.
Mark inked Eric. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Some of these are by Mark. I think. Who was the other guys? One says Rubenstein. I don't know if that's actually Joe Rubenstein.
What? Well, I think it's the only Rubenstein there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
I would think so. But yeah, there's one page that it looks like Joe inked.
Well, that is not so.
Let's see. Asking price. Make me a good offer there, Eric. We haven't put any of these Ladytron pages out just yet.
What year is that from?
Ladytron must be early 2000s, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I wanted to ask Eric before he left, but he was too much in a rush. Let's see if I can find it online.
Yeah, it's crazy when I first met Eric. I didn't know how because he's his ethnicity. I couldn't tell how old he was, and he also was probably about 40 to 50 pounds heavier, and he just came up to me and handed me this printed portfolio, and it just blew me away. I was like, how? I thought this kid was like, I don't know, 15 years old or something. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I kept giving it away to editors. And Eric would walk by and I'd be like, hey, I need another portfolio. Because I kept giving them to editors, kept giving them away. But I wanted one myself, So.
Yeah, he's good. January 2000 looks like these were published. We do have a few pages, but we're actually revamping the website to do some drops later this fall. So these are the only two that we have available at the moment. If y'all interested. Sean, are you done with your cover?
Yeah, I'm just letting the ink dry a bit before I erase the pencil and scan it. And I gotta color it.
Did I give you one of the erasers?
No, but I've used the ones you use, Dave, but I swear by these Japanese ones. I think they're even better for leaving the ink down and taking up the pencil than the ones like Mateo uses the same ones as you do.
Yeah, I think I gave them. I
Oh,
was
did
giving
you?
them to everybody because the only way you could get it is you had to order a giant pack of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think Mateo. I think I used Mateo's. Maybe it was. But these ones I get. Wando lives in Japan, so he sends them to me.
so you can't get them on like jet pens.
Jet pens might have them. The problem is they outlawed PVC and erasers in this country, and that's what
Oh.
made them good. And these have PVC in them because kids were eating the erasers and getting cancer from PVC. So America decides we can't sell them to adults at that point.
Ay.
So yeah, I just get them from Japan, but I've got like a lot of them.
Oh, America.
They just issued a state of emergency for New York.
For the hurricane?
Yeah, but I think that it's gonna hit the northern part of New York and like I think Boston, New England.
Yeah, I saw the trajectory this morning. It looked like Boston was going to get the big hit.
But it's just another reason not to leave the house. So I'm good. I'm good with that. Hey, Neil. How's it going? Neil says hello.
What's up, Neil?
Hello, Neil.
He just missed Eric and Klaus doing some drawing. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do this a little bit more frequently on the weekends, then it's fine with me. I'm happy to host.
I'm down. I'm
Could
definitely
probably add a little bit more sales facet to it. I'll dig out some other art, some sketches, some less expensive pieces for everybody, some prints.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Try to do some fun stuff. I don't know, since we're not going to be seeing each other, it seems, for a bit.
You think New York Comic Con's going to get canceled, Jay?
If I'm a gambling man, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it is. I saw
a
convention in Laredo, Texas just got canceled this week.
I mean, we gotta notice, like, the schools here are starting to go back to masks, and I'm sure we're not far from them saying stay at home.
I mean, conventions aren't, they're fun and, I love them and all that, but they're not essential,
Yeah, well, it's not worth getting sick over. And, it's just not, I mean, I really enjoyed seeing you guys at Terrificon, and it made the month go, a bunch better. But we'll have to wait, I think, until shit clears up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't regret having gone. And I mean, I got sick, but I had a good weekend. It was nice to see people and talk to people. But
well, luckily you didn't get any. I mean, hopefully you didn't get anybody else sick.
I got my wife sick.
Oh, well. but she's got the thing, right? The shot.
Yeah, we all have it. Me and
Yeah.
my kids have it too. So yeah.
I mean, at least that's something.
Yeah.
Now you're magnetic, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a negative.
No, I'm all about good magnetism.
Think about it. I mean, be able to keep your car keys just on your body.
Makes the gym a little hard.
I love the people that were at like community whatever like town halls, and people were putting coins on their skin.
Yes.
know?
Yes.
I'm like, you obviously don't know anything about metal and magnets, do you?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, if I had been there, I would have brought some wet cloths or something, and say, all right, let's try this again with clean skin.
Right. Exactly.
Or I would have brought my own magnet. I said, well, let's try a real magnet with your coins. See what happens.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
It's amazing. They don't stick. What a coincidence.
But Jay, I backed out of Dragon Con and the Kentucky show.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
you're
probably a good
way
idea.
smart to back out of Dragon Con, man. That's going to be a super spreader.
Yeah, after I got sick again, I was like, I'm not gonna fuck with this. I just want to sit here and work. So yeah, doing these streams and finding ways to sell art without going to cons is gonna be good.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we could go hang out, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the case for a little bit. And I don't know. I felt pretty isolated the last few months, not doing streams and being able to, hang out. So at least this gives some sort of connection.
Yeah, I'm down.
So,
All right, I think it's all erased and done. Scan this baby.
okay, let's see. So Eric, I'm just setting up your order for the Lady Trump page and the death piece from Dave. So that'll be in your inbox in a few minutes.
Nice.
There is a 50% off deal on Sean's Scarlet Witch splash page. If you guys want to check that out, it is. Let me find the link here for you before we head out. Gosh darn it! Now it's there. It is. There's a Sean one. If anyone's interested, and then we'll start doing some more of these. I'll try to pick out a few other pages that we could do some good deals on. Let's see what Dave's up to.
Yeah, I'm almost. I mean, might take a break real quick, but yeah, I got a little bit left to do. Throwing a quick background on there and draw the can.
Which company? Which can gets?
I'm trying to think of what's the easier one to draw. Probably Popso. It'll probably read the best. But yeah, it turned out okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see some more of the Pro.
That looks nice.
Yep. All right. I think we're done. Yeah, good times.
Okie dokie. Then
Good
we'll
hang.
try to set up for next week. We'll try to do something, once or twice a month at least. And if you guys want any of that other art, just hit me up. We do have the Scarlet Witch piece from Sean that's on the site. Another Ladytron, page 18. Amazing Spider-Man 660, I think. 680 from Kamikoli and Klaus. And that's it.
Cool.
So we will see you all later. Thanks so much for hanging with us.
Thank
Yep.
you all.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Good talk, Dave. CJ.
Bye-bye. Feel better.